Hey, gang, we're going to start here in just a few moments. Stay with us. Hey, gang, we're going to get started here in just a few moments. Just stay with us. We're going to get started just after 9 o'clock. Preparing the Facebook live stream. So that's what's just taking us a few minutes. We're getting started here just a little bit early. Making sure everything is good to go. Hope you guys are having a great morning. Got a lot of phenomenal content ready to rock. Some great guests. Jen and Adam are joining us again for 2.0. I'm pretty excited. So we've got just a ton of fun stuff. A lot of people joining. Going to get started here in just a minute.
Right? She does. I could hear her, leaving messages, and it's like she has.
Jen and Adam, how are you guys?
Great. How are you?
Good.
I'm good, Travis. How are you?
Phenomenal. We are live.
Can you hear us better than last week?
Phenomenally better. It's 9 o'clock, so let's get started. We got a good crowd of folks here on Zoom. We got a lot of folks joining us on Facebook as well. So I'll start out with some quick announcements real quick. Don't forget, folks, this week is Holy Week, and it's Good Friday, and it's a national holiday for Keller Williams International we observe. So Market Center will be closed on Friday. That means we will not be processing checks. So if you have closing that happens on Friday, we'll process that on Monday. You'll get paid on Tuesday, just so everybody knows. Couple other things. A lot of conversation, a lot of questions about, are we essential? They didn't specifically announce it this time like they did last time. Yes, we're essential. And I just want to reiterate a couple things. First of all, the whole point of the essential concept is to practice social distancing. When people don't do that, they put in laws in place to try to be able to enforce it, but the cops are not out there trying to write tickets. That's not their desire to do it. I promise you they're not going to pull you over if you're out driving and going to a showing and ask you for a letter or proof that you're essential. However, if you want one, we do have a document that we posted into our internal Facebook group that the MREC did. You can print off, put your name, put your license number on there. I don't think that's ever going to be needed, but if you wanted to, you could, and it's there for you guys to use. Okay, so just wanted to give that real quick chat. Don't do what you feel safe doing. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you. Practice social distancing, practice good hygiene. You wear a mask if you feel comfortable with that. Wear gloves, whatever you want to do. Just be safe, be smart, and you'll be fine. So a couple other things. We have a contest, exciting contest Jen and Adam and I talked about yesterday. We're going to announce at the end of this call for all you KW agents, and I think you're going to be actually 2 contests. So you're going to be super, super excited. And then I want to make sure you guys are plugging in. I've never seen this much phenomenal content consistently on Keller Williams University, on KW Connect, and then locally, what we're producing here. And then third group I want to tell you about is Command Your Conversion. A lot of amazing stuff going on in Command, and today there is an all-day stream on Command Your Conversion Facebook group. So make sure you check that out. A lot of great speakers. Mo Anderson, I know, is going to be on there. Just a lot of phenomenal people. So if you've got questions, I'm going to keep everybody muted. Just make sure that you keep yourself muted. And if you have questions, just type them in the chat box. Good morning to you, Rob Luck. Yes, we are essential. So we're ready to get started. I want to tee it up with Adam and Jen again. We had a phenomenal conversation last time. Just a great, great, great conversation. Yeah, click on that chat. You can see the chat box there, Adam.
Good morning, Rob Luck.
Good morning, Rob.
So we're going to get into some really specific tactics this week, because we're still going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about a lot of other things, but we're going to give tactics that it doesn't matter if you're a brand new agent. It doesn't matter if you're done 1 million, 3 million, 10 million, or 100 million. The tactics we're going to share with you today are timeless and not volume based. Okay. So we're going to give you the exact tactics. We're going to talk about pricing. We're going to talk about the market, where it's going, and how you're actually handling virtual showings. So this is a new time, right? I was on a call yesterday with Gary Keller and talked for 30 minutes, and guess what he talked about? Two things: remargin your expenses, build your database. That's it. So Gary Keller comes on with all the team leaders, leadership call, MCAs, OPs, and guess what he spends all his time doing? Talking and telling stories about how he went through this in the 80s and what he did and how he came out of it even better, and how our company exploded in growth and market share. So folks, we're going to share with you some timeless practice today. I want to go to you, Adam and Jen, and just real quick, talk to us about how your business is handling virtual consultations, because I think that's something that some people are really struggling with, actually getting the appointments, right? Getting in the room with them, whether it be a listing appointment or a buyer. They're just not comfortable with it because they don't know how to do it. They're used to getting in that room with people, and that's not the time that we're in. So how are you guys doing that?
I think last week we spent a fair amount of time talking about the buyer consult. I don't know if maybe, so I guess I'll give a short answer and then Adam give a longer answer on the virtual listing appointment. So for the buyer consult, guys, if you're not comfortable utilizing Zoom or FaceTime or something like that, that would take the place of your role play. So right now, find another agent that has a similar business as you do, and attempt to launch a Zoom meeting, attempt to share your screen. Don't do it for the first time with a client, just like you wouldn't have gone through a contract the first time with a client present. You would have role played that. So we talked last week about establishing those best practices. Best practice is to practice. Best practice is to watch yourself on scripting. And so record those Zoom meetings, find a partner that you can role play those things with, run through it and practice sharing your screen. And you can do that, buy side or list side.
Easily.
And the consult is just the consult, just like we talked about last week. So I think Adam clearly has more experience than I do on the listing side. So maybe give your perspective on what that looks like for a virtual listing appointment.
Sure. And the consult is it's still just the exact same consult. It's just way more efficient, right? We talked last week. My high D personality, I can't get enough of this, right? Because we can immediately start talking about their wants and needs. Like there's no chit chat, there's no small talk, there's no drive time, right? And you can get immediately diving in to why they're there. We talked about a best practice about making sure the camera's adjusted so you can still see their body language and be able to talk to them. And we are so blessed to have the technology that we have that there's no reason to replace the consult with a phone call when you could do it via video. And even if you just have an Android or iPhone, you don't have to be on Zoom, and you can still sit and talk to each other and have a consult. And we're doing them really successfully. And the most impressive part, Carrie and I were just talking about this, is that our clients have adapted so quickly.
Yes.
Like I'm getting zero pushback for doing that.
I think they're thankful. They're thankful that we have the venue to still be able to meet them,
Correct.
whether that is a Zoom call or face.
When we talked last week, again, they didn't decide last week to buy a house or sell a house. They decided 6 months ago or a year ago, and now we're still able to meet their goal. We're able to, be on their timeline, right? It just happens to be under the umbrella of COVID-19, right? So we have to do things a little bit differently.
So what does it look like for you on the listing presentation? So like for me on a buyer consult, that's typically the front side of it, right? I'm establishing their wants, I'm establishing their needs and their timeline. On the listing side, most of the time you're also trying to validate condition.
That's correct.
So what does that look like? For you guys, when you're going through that on video, how do you see and verify condition?
So we aren't doing the actual consultation in front, but we're still visiting the property.
Okay.
Because we can still social distance. We don't have to be together to go visit the property, and we can do the entire consult online. We can do all the paperwork online. And again, we're giving them the option, right? Because we can establish and the customer can establish how they feel safe and how we need to show up. If we need to show up in booties and gloves and do those things away from them, right? And still go through the property and then come back with paperwork on a Zoom consult. Absolutely. Like the great thing is that we have options.
It's interesting because you could do that. You're right. Last week you talked about when somebody goes to the store popping in to view a house. It's no different on the listing side than the buy side. And at the same time, if you're going to be in the house anyways, potentially getting that virtual tour, so you're only in the home to protect yourself the one time, having those lights on, having the seller prep the house, and going through and doing that video.
Well, I'm gonna go back and talk about efficiency, right? So that is one trip. That trip is a sign, a lockbox, the key, right? The tour, and I'm out. Like there's no reason to visit more than one time.
And that listing appointment, it's probably still including all of those things. It's now one whole hour. That includes your 30 minutes of paperwork on the Zoom call, and then 30 minutes of the tour, the video, the sign, the lockbox.
And it's extremely efficient.
I like that idea a lot.
So quickly, I would also like to touch on, when we're doing a consult, whether it's a buyer consult or a list consult, you can share your screen on Zoom, which is so helpful, because literally with the click of a button, they can see exactly what you're seeing, and you can show them the paperwork, and you can go ahead and email that paperwork to them, so they're getting it on their iPhone while they're watching you on their computer, and they're going ahead and signing. And the script we're using is go ahead and sign now, so that if there's any kind of technical difficulty, we can go ahead and rectify that right now.
And then
we're not getting off the call and then still having to transact. We're able to transact on the call just like we would at our conference room table.
It's a presumptive close.
That's correct.
It's easy. I talked to Melinda's coach yesterday, and she was giving some suggestions on those videos. So when you're taking those videos, if you're an individual agent, so we're really trying to focus this week on some people that maybe don't have a team.
Correct.
If you don't have a person, or you don't have someone that is tech savvy enough to maybe condense those videos, there's a program called Fiverr that you can use to condense those videos, and it gives you a really nice intro, a really nice exit. And Brinley yesterday said it was anywhere from $5 to $11 per video. So very cost effective to still make sure that you are the expert in the field and the professional. The other conversation that she and I had yesterday, she said, are you getting any pushback from sellers that are saying, okay, well, we're paying you 6%, and now potentially you want me to video the home? Because we talked a little bit last week about leveraging the seller. If I call the seller and they don't want someone in the home, and we ask them to video it. And what I talked to her about yesterday, I said, if it were me and a seller said, wait a second, I'm going to do the video and I'm paying you 6%. Well, our agreement was for me to get you the best possible price in the shortest amount of time. And I want to make sure you're comfortable in what that looks like. So if you're not comfortable, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, with me coming in the home to video it, I still need the video.
That's correct.
So we're still meeting that client where they are, and we're still protecting them and making sure that they're very comfortable with the process. So if they're the one requesting it, I have not had that objection yet.
I haven't either.
At the same time, though, that would be my answer if that happened.
And you just got to consistently be solution-minded, right? You just need to have the answer that they're looking for. And when Jen says meeting them where they are, it's letting them talk to you about the objection and going there and saying, I understand how you feel, and this is what I found, and then having the answer for them.
And it's not being the objection. We didn't get into that last week, and we meant to. We're not creating the objection. So when people are calling in, we are not introducing the topic of COVID-19, right? So some of them are bringing it up, and clearly we're going to have the conversation. However, we're not the first ones to go there. We're not escalating the emotion behind it. So we're making sure, we talked about old laws ahead of this, keeping your emotions between the lines. Part of that is also when you're having these conversations with clients and they give an objection, isolate that objection. And we're not, again, tricking people into buying homes. We're finding out what the concern is. We're isolating what that is, and then answering that particular question with what Adam said is a solution. So it is very much, we're not here to create the objection. We're just going to listen to them, and we're going to respond with the solution.
But that's no different now. I mean, if Jen and I were sitting here last March, we'd be giving you the same advice, right? It's nothing to do with COVID-19. Right? It's consulting 101.
It is.
Right?
It's asking the questions to listen and understand, not asking the questions so that I can talk next.
Well, you and I were on the phone yesterday, and we were talking about being the temperature and not the thermometer.
Yes.
Right? Not being reactionary and making sure that we're the ones setting the tone. And I love that.
Well, that's exactly right. And it is, we're the ones pacing people through this transaction. And whether that pace is a 30-day pace of I am buying or selling my home in the next 30 days, or they are buying or selling a home in the next 24 months, we're going to pace them through that. The end goal is to still be who they choose to work with, whether that's this 30 days or whether it's 24 months from now.
Correct. You just put them in your pipeline.
Put them in the pipeline. And the easiest objection handler ever is, here's what happens next. Most objections come from lack of communication. A client that doesn't understand the next thing. So if you end every conversation with, okay, Adam, here's what happens next. It doesn't matter timeline. There's always a next. There's always the next best step.
That's correct. You know,
you're teeing up what's next.
That's correct.
Oh,
every time.
Me, sorry.
You know, Travis Claire in my office, that's our lead ISA. Her coach is out of production now, but when she was in production, they used to play a game in the office, and if the client called, that means they failed, right? Because they weren't communicating enough. So think about that, guys. If the client calls you, you failed, because that means you're not communicating enough.
The best scripts in my history have come from getting the same objection over and over again. The same meltdown in the timeline, right? The same time that someone is calling and they're frustrated and they're freaking out and they're whatever. It comes from me not setting it up well or communicating in the timeline that they expect, not the timeline I want to give it. So we talk about like inspection periods, and this is last March or this March, setting very clear expectations of that timeline, but understanding how that person receives information will make that piece of it so much easier.
Absolutely.
So
Travis, do you have a question?
Yeah, quick question I have is, what are you guys doing? I know both of you carry the most listings of anybody in the area. Have you seen a lot of people pull their listings? I mean, you guys, did your listing skydive in the last 30 days?
So I'll take that. We have seen on MLS, on a hot sheet, that the listings are down for the time of year that we're in. And the script that I'm talking through with my sellers is the inventory is going to dip, and it's going to be lower than we've ever expected it to be. It's just like what happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? And it's my same scripts that I use then. And the inventory that's on the market has a better chance of selling for a better price in a faster amount of time, just because of simple supply and demand. Because regardless of a recession or COVID-19 or 9/11 or whatever's going on, people still have to transact.
Yes.
You know, and Gary teaches us to find the motivated. The motivated are still out there. So this is, again, the same script that I would use in February when clients are like, hey, we're going to take a break. It's gross out.
We're going to wait till spring.
Nobody's buying right now. Well, that's not true, right? And you have to have the data to show them that that's not true. But if a buyer shows up at your house to see it at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night in February, and it's spitting snow and it's pitch black dark out, guess what that buyer is?
Interested, ready,
motivated. They're ready to go, right?
Yep.
We're not getting a June Sunday tire kicker out right now, and that's okay. So showings are fewer and far between, but they're way more high quality showings, and that's the message that we're giving to our customers and encouraging them to stay on the market.
Us too. I think there was one listing of ours that pulled off the market, and it was an older couple and they had some health issues. We met them where they were at. They were uncomfortable with anyone being in their home, and that was okay. We'll have the listing come back later. However, that's been one of 100 and however many listings we have, 140 active listings, one.
And I want to provide some clarity there. In a situation like that, I'm not trying to overcome the objection. Right? If it's a safety issue, we're saying absolutely, you know, we'll follow up with you. If it's I don't want to be on the market because I don't think the market is moving, I don't think people are wanting to transact right now, then that's a completely different conversation.
And the reason that Adam knows what the different conversation is because he's asking enough questions when somebody calls in with a concern. It's not any different. He's isolating the objection or the concern. If the concern is the market, he can overcome that. He can keep them on the market and get them sold much quicker for a higher dollar. If the concern is safety, just hear us clearly, because I know that there's some pushback sometimes on this. Hear us clearly. We are saying we're comfortable with that. The safety of our clients and our team members is our number one priority. Agreed. And so if that's safety, if they have any concern over it, all we can do is be kind, make it as hassle-free as we can, go pull up the things. If they don't want us to go pull up the sign or the lockbooks, great, put it in your garage. We can come put it back out when you're ready.
That's correct. And it's just continuing to ask that question and stating curiosity. So if they're calling and saying, hey, Adam, you know, Jill and I have talked, we think we're going to go ahead and pull the house off the market. Okay, thanks. Tell me more about that. Right? Because I want to find out where that's coming from. You know, we talked last week about what are you listening to, right? And filtering what you're listening to. Like, is he stuck on CNN for 4 hours every night? Right? And he thinks, you know, he's listening to Chicken Little. So I want to talk him through that and then show him the facts. So, you know, when Gary says be the economist of choice, this is what he's talking about. You have to be ready with the data. And the data is easy to find right in MLS. But you have to be ready with the data to overcome that objection. And you can say, hey, Mr. Seller, actually, did you know 76 contracts happened over the weekend, right? You know, 19 new properties closed yesterday, right? Whatever that metric is, to be able to share that with them so that they're like, oh, wow, I feel better.
And the other part of that is kind of what we talked about last week. If Adam has the data and Adam is being proactive, he is doing what he needs to do and he's staying in communication with his clients, potentially it doesn't get to that point.
You're exactly
potentially
right.
They're not calling him because he called last week and said, hey, things are still moving. Here were these numbers. And then Adam called them again this week and said, hey guys, just wanted you to know, here's what's going on. And X, Y, Z are our next steps of what we're going to do. So you've got a couple ways to handle it. We are all going to get some of the calls because we're human and there are going to be a handful of people that maybe we just don't want to talk to.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to handle that as they come in. And the other people though, the ones, you know, when we're looking at, we need to be making so many contacts a day, those are your active clients, whether that's a listing that's sitting on the market or whether that's a buyer that's sitting in your pipeline, making sure we're in constant communication with them so they understand the market and they understand that you're there and you're still working.
That's correct. You know, and again, the same conversation we would have had with you last spring versus now. So it all gets down to doing the activities. So we talked about last week, and hopefully if you tuned in and you hadn't done this before, you have designated that spot in your house that is your work area. Yeah. So that when you're in it, you're working, and when you're working, you're always there so that you can shut it down and go back to your family and have that special spot. And that spot is what we're lead generating right now and making those touches and calling clients and checking in on them. You know, if I was a new agent, I would be calling just my friends and family, my sphere, my coworkers from my past job. And this isn't a real estate call.
You're not asking for business.
That's correct.
So when he's saying lead generating, what he's saying is maybe lead nurturing.
That's exactly
We're
right.
going to be in constant communication so that at the end of this, and there will be an end of this, that we're still in good communication with them so that they don't feel like we just dropped out during this scary time.
And so you're doing one of two things right now. You're either maintaining your database or you're building a new one. So I don't have a database. So what's that look like? Well, Jill from my old job. Right? And you're putting her on an Excel spreadsheet and you're putting that you contacted her and you called to check on her and she was like, oh, it's great to hear from you. How are you liking real estate? Well, there's an opportunity there, right? We didn't call to talk about real estate, but she's asking about it. So
always circles back around because people are interested in it. Now, we're not ending the conversation with, do you know anyone that's ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? We are answering the question of what's the market doing? You know, we've seen a little bit of a dip in the inventory, so it's still a really great time to sell. And it's still a really great time to buy. We've still got low interest rates. We've still got these good things happening. And so we can answer those questions without asking them for the business.
And I can get all that information off the hot sheet, right? And just quote it. It makes me sound like an expert. Or I can pull up any bank's website and quote rate. rates.
That's exactly right. Or you can look, I mean, Mike Brown has done a fantastic job in our, thank you, Mike, in giving us the up-to-date data that is easily digestible. So if you are a new agent and you don't know what a hot sheet is, or you're a new agent and you don't know how to pull that data, or what counties you should be looking at, if you get on our internal page, that information is they're small bites.
And Mike did the work for you.
Yeah.
For those of you on Zoom, if you can see it today, he wrote today, hey, according to the stats this morning, Somo had 30 new listings, 34 go under contract. So we're having more go under contract than we are listings go live. And so we entered this crazy time, if you want to call it, with less inventory than we've ever had, ever. And it's only getting worse right now. So if you're a motivated seller and you're actually wanting to move your property, and this is the time to move it, because it's good properties that are in good condition, priced with the market, are just, I mean, multiple offers still. I'm sure you guys are seeing it.
I think for those people that are potentially anxious, I think there's some anxiety around finances and what's coming in, and we're telling you not necessarily to ask for business. However, when you start making these calls, business is going to happen, and there are going to be people that have to do things right now. And your fastest way to a paycheck right now is to have a great listing that's priced right and presented well.
And positioned correctly in the market. So understanding those market numbers, that's your fastest way to a paycheck, guys. In addition to, we talked last week about bulletproofing the transaction, the things you have under contract, understanding that you've got to hold that together, because those are things you already have that you've already done the work for, that we just need to get to closing. So in changing your system around a little bit, you might revisit that checklist that you've written, or maybe that the market centers provided to you, and double checking and making sure it's very, very detailed, and making sure that you're following it, so that you are making sure that transaction's bulletproof. Like, just to say it, or to make the extra phone call, right? Put the extra phone call on your list. So maybe we're checking with the lender more often. We're checking.
That's a great point.
Yeah, the appraisal process. We're checking with the co-op agent, right? We're making extra phone calls to make sure that that transaction is as seamless as possible. That's what your customer's paying you for. This is the part they don't want to worry about.
And going so far as button up your inspection periods. Those of you writing in 15 days for inspections, don't write in 6 or 7 days. The faster you get through this, the more stable. I mean, the economy potentially gets a little more unstable coming up.
So let's pause and talk about that really fast. So what can you do to not write in 15 days? You stop when you're writing the offer. You call your inspector and you say, hey, I'm writing an offer, 123 Main Street. Can you go ahead and give me a spot on your calendar? I'll confirm with you by the end of the day. Absolutely, Adam. I can put you in on the 9th at 4 o'clock. I have an opening. So now I can call the co-op agent as I'm sending the offer over, and I'm letting them know I only put 4 days in the inspection because I already had the inspection scheduled for Thursday.
And I'm only going to give your seller, is your seller going to be okay, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, if we put 5 days for you guys to respond? We want to get through this. And if they say no, they're a really detailed personality and it's going to take them a long time to look through the reports. Okay, how long will they need? Short of 10 days, because we want to keep this buttoned up. If they say yes, then the listing agent, say I have the buyer's agent, Adam has the listing, Adam can go ahead and reach out to his contractor that potentially does his repairs and say, I expect to get this by this date. Say I'm going to have it by the 11th. Do you have time the morning of the 12th to go over this list with me so I can get a response back to the buyer? We're taking the guesswork out of that part of it. And when you shorten that time frame, we all know that's the nerves around the contract, is during that inspection period. If you can button that up and condense that time, everybody's happier. The sellers are less stressed, the buyers are less stressed, and all of a sudden now you've moved through a really big chunk of it in your first week under contract.
And our job's to meet expectations, and now you've done that. But you've also made your buyer's offer way stronger without costing them a nickel.
That's exactly right. And these would be best practices in great times.
I would love to get this.
Yeah,
that's what I see happening now. Is out of this market, we're going to become more efficient, and there's going to be new norms that are created, right?
Absolutely.
It is just, though, I can't emphasize enough, though, you've got to have had those expectations with everybody in the process. Adam was right. You've got to call the inspector and make sure that they've got a spot for you. You've got to call the listing agent and make sure that they can respond to you quickly and provide access to the home quickly. So all of those steps, it's not just I'm writing in 4 days and hoping and praying that it works for everybody. I am making sure it works all along the way.
I'm making sure the lenders order the appraisal, right? If I'm getting a offer on a listing and I can see they have a letter from 2 months ago, I'm going to go ahead and stop what I'm doing and I'm going to call and just say, hey, I just got this contract. Jen Davis is your client and she's trying to buy 123 Main Street. And I just wanted to check in and make sure this pre-approval letter is still,
she's still qualified.
She's still qualified.
Because
that's an okay conversation to have, guys. It's your job to protect your client.
100%, and you've got to make sure of that, because right now with interest rates fluctuating, and if people move from one government loan to the other, what they got locked in on is no longer good, and people are having to buy points and they're having to do different things. So making sure that those agents, that the people that you have in your pipeline, those are really great calls to make right now. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, have you had your pre-approval letter updated? Now would be a good time to do that, because banks are far behind with refis and appraisals. Putting them in the driver's seat on that, letting them make those calls and make sure that even not only that they still qualify for a house, they still qualify for the same amount with a change in interest rate.
That's correct. So let's go back and put your buyer agent hat on again. So after you're calling the inspector, we're turning right around and calling the lender, because the days of 30-day transactions might not be possible right now with the bottleneck that we're seeing with the refinance. So, hey, Mr. Lender, getting ready to write a contract for our mutual client, Jen. Can you tell me when it would be appropriate to close? Adam, I really need 40 days right now. I need 45 days. I need 50 days. It's very possible to say, actually, we've really caught up and it's going to be a solid 4 weeks. Now I can have a conversation with my co-op agent that says, hey, I've already spoke to the inspector. I've already spoke to the lender, right? And here's what I found. And be able to share that information with them, and then they can turn right around and share that information with their customer.
I think what you said is so cool. It's really about expectations and communication and over communicating, setting the right expectations with everybody involved right now. Your co-op agent, your lender, your inspector, all your vendors, and then consistently communicating more than you've ever done. Usually you throw it out there and you go, okay, that's in your court. Banker's going to tell me when things are bad. No. The bankers are way logged up right now with refis, right?
Well, so, Travis, we talked last week about managing anxiety, and we manage anxiety by being productive. So some of that is doubling the activities on lead generation. Some of it is doubling the activities on bulletproofing your transaction. You feel in control, and it takes some of this uncertainty out.
A lot of it.
Because you look at it and you're like, well, in a normal market, I maybe don't have time to make all those phone calls. I sure have time right now. I sure have time right now to make sure that this is buttoned up and that I'm not risking 2 families, one buying and one selling, and putting them in a bad spot. If we are coming from contribution and we care first and it's a people business, you absolutely have time for this always, specifically now.
Yeah. So making sure that all of that stuff's done makes your offer so much more palatable to the other agent and to that seller. And I just want to touch on that again, because you have not cost your client anything.
$0. So this is very good for an individual agent or a small team. And when we're doing these types of things, and we can, in shift tactic 12, when they talk about bulletproofing the transaction, it says very clearly in there that you're going to have to do double the work. In a shifting market, you're going to have to do the work for the other agent. And you talked about that last week.
I did.
Understanding that you are now responsible for all of it. And so you want to take a look and say, if absolutely everything that could go wrong is going to go wrong with this file, what would that be and how do I button it up?
Right now, so that we don't have to worry about it later.
That's exactly right. So we're not reacting out of emotion. We're acting out of a plan.
And you're managing your own expectations at that point. If you assume you're going to have to do all the work of the co-op agent and you end up not having to, it's just a better transaction.
Hey, wait, sounds great. I like that person. Still gonna.
So, I mean, I'm getting a laugh out of this, but that's not my expectation, right? I really am listening to what they're saying in shift tactic 12 and making the assumption that we're going to have to do double the work to get the same result that we would have got a couple of months ago. And so when you don't have to, it's just a blessing right
now. It is. And I think Gary in the same section talks about, he was a really good real estate person. Mm-hmm. He understood real estate and he understood contracts. He wasn't a great real estate salesperson. And the part of the sales part of it is managing those expectations and doing the things that the buyers and sellers don't want to do and the reason you're getting for. And our fiduciary responsibility is always work. We're always protecting the client that we represent. And and some of that is by making sure that we see what's on the horizon before it gets here. You've got to be a good salesperson during this time. The sales skills and the way that you deliver messages. We talked on our team, we stand up. We're giving bad news. We're going to stand up. We're going to smile on the phone. We're going to give a good energy around it so that we can help solve the problem. We are not feeding the emotion into it.
So if you read all of Shift, which I strongly encourage you to do, if you need a copy, Travis can make that available to you. They talk about the gift of the shift. Mm-hmm. And the gift of the shift is the things we're talking about right mm-hmm. now, which is, doubling down, bulletproofing your transaction, checking the return on investment of the money that you're spending. It's making sure that your system's the most efficient that it can be. Mm-hmm. And this is the gift of the shift, right? Yep. So yep. Now the consumer needs a salesperson. Mm-hmm. They need a salesperson now more than ever.
That also happens to be an expert in real estate.
That's exactly yeah. right. And so let's talk about a for sale by owner, maybe an expired mm-hmm. listing, right? When they hired their next door neighbor's daughter because she just got her license and it wasn't successful.
Didn't work.
They need a salesperson now. When they were for sale by owner last year and they were talking at the water cooler with their buddy and saying, hey, it was so easy with household in one day, right? Well, that buddy's trying to do it now and trying to replicate that. And you can't do that in a shifting market. So our value is higher than ever right now. So we have to make sure that we're in communication with the public, letting them know that we're available when it's time to transact and what we can do for them.
That's so smart. I mean, think about that. That's the message. If you want to have a clear, consistent message, it is, we've always been the expert in the real estate industry. However, we've had a crowding of experts, and I use quotation marks, experts, in the last few years, including for sale by owners. And they did have success. They felt like experts. Now is not the case. This is potentially the easiest time to re-enter relationships, to become that expert again, because people need you now more than ever.
It's our time to shine.
It is.
Right? And so sitting on your hands right now, watching the news, mm-hmm. talking about the skies falling, mm-hmm. or interpreting that that's what you're hearing on the mm-hmm. news, and thinking, I'm just going to sit this one out and mm-hmm. let this pass over.
Yep.
Like, you're missing out on a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I'm really serious when I say it's your time to shine, because your value is never more necessary than it is right now.
And let's help people. There are people that are in need. We're all willing to stand up and help when there is a need, whether that's financial or it's health or something. We all want to be helpers. This is the same crisis. I don't know that that's the right word for it. These people need our help. And if you're a helper or you're somebody that likes to get people from a bad spot into a great spot, this is your opportunity to be able to do that and be really genuine and authentic about it.
And I hear that all the time. Like, mm-hmm. I love real estate. I mm-hmm. love houses. I love helping people, right? We've all heard mm-hmm. that. And if you really did mm-hmm. and you really cared, mm-hmm. it would be effortless for you to pick up the phone and call your friends and family, call your past clients, mm-hmm. Make sure you're following a model, make sure you're scripting through your database mm-hmm. and checking on them, right? And making sure that they're okay, because let me get this straight. A lot of people aren't okay.
No.
Yeah.
And they're going to remember who reached out to them and took care of them.
They're going to remember who cared.
That's exactly right.
We talk about on our team, like, when we're asking for reviews and those types of things, if you're afraid to ask for a review, I can pretty much guess what your level of customer service was with that client.
Wow.
It would be the same.
If somebody on my team is listening, will you write that down, please?
It would be the same thing right now. If you genuinely are someone, I would say if someone asks me why I'm in real estate, I actually don't love houses. I actually really love people. Like, I love people. I love meeting them. I love their stories. I love all of it that goes into making people different. I'm very interested in it. I love people. And if I am afraid to make those calls and check in on people, do I really love people, or is that just the line I'm telling everyone?
That's correct.
And if I really love those people, am I nervous to call them? Well, no, I'm not nervous to call them. I know I treated them well. I know that I left the relationship in a positive, healthy way. And maybe I haven't contacted them as much, you know, for those of you that are thinking that I should have called before. And if you were a good, kind person and you did a great job for them, they're okay to receive that call from you, because we're not asking for business.
Yes.
A deposit. Tommy Choi that called in, you know, and was talking about you make deposits in people's lives before you make a withdrawal. We're not asking for the business. We're just depositing genuine care and concern for people.
And if you really care, I can't emphasize this enough. If you really,
now's the time to call if you really care, right, Al?
then you're going to reach out.
Yeah.
If you really care, and you're going to check on those people and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
And you need to be prepared for two things. You need to be prepared to have a long conversation.
Yes.
Because my lead gen is taking twice as long to make the same amount of contacts because everybody wants to talk.
They're lonely.
And the second thing you need to be prepared for is you need to be armed with that data and those stats. So if they are talking about real estate, you're ready. Or if they're asking for help, you have resources lined up for them. And that if they say they need something, you're saying, no problem, I want to help you. So I'm going to put the spotlight back on Jen really quick, who was calling to check on one of her friends.
Yeah.
And her friend started telling her a story about how her husband had got laid off. And he lives in Colorado when he's working. He lives in it's a camper, fifth wheel. And she was like, Jen, I don't know what we're going to do. We have to get to Colorado and pick up our fifth wheel because we can't afford next month's rent payment. And so Jen's in the middle of telling me the story. And I'm like, can we pause right there? Didn't you just pay the rent for them? And she's like, you know, I offered. And what ended up happening is I'm keeping their two kids for 2 weeks so that they can go to Colorado, pick up the fifth wheel, and then come back and be in quarantine since they traveled. And I'm going to keep their kids for 2 weeks. So I just want you to be prepared that if you're going to come from contribution and you're going to check on your clients, you better be prepared to help them.
I survived day one.
Day one of 4 kids at her house.
1 day down. We'll see how they all are when I get
I'll check on you in 13 days.
Well, I think that what you said is so much in line with what Gary said the other day, what John Maxwell says all the time. Gary said service first, sales second right now. Should be that way all the time. There's never been a better time. I heard
that was the theme of your call yesterday.
Yeah. The two things I think of John Maxwell always says, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And then always touch a heart before you ask for a hand. This is heart time. This is mind share, heart share time. Call people and just love them. And I know some of you I've talked to, if you've been in the business for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you've been so busy, you haven't made a phone call and you're calling somebody now. Call them now. Don't let guilt or fear drive in and say, oh, you haven't called me. No, I haven't. I've been so busy and that's on me and I'm sorry, but I just want you to know I care about you. Is there anything you need? Can I bring you toilet paper? Do you need me to run errands to get food for you? I'm essential. I can do that. I'll do whatever it takes to help you right now. Don't ask for anything. I'm just coming from contribution. And here's why. Mind share and service always come back tenfold in return. When you give, you get. And you don't give to get. That's not the reason we do it. We just give out of grace. So this is a time for you to give. If you've never been a big giver, give. If you have to give, we've had a lot of good years in real estate. You know, and I'm already sitting around looking at my house going, what is it that I have that I don't use and I don't need that I can give away or sell and then give that money away to help somebody right now? Because there's going to be great need. There is absolutely going to be great need.
Travis, Jim was just talking about, taking that deposit. So if the last communication or the last transaction that you had with your customer, you took the deposit, you got the closing check.
Took withdrawal, yeah.
Back into them yet, you owe it to them to pour back into them.
Yeah.
So on our team, that's what we've been doing, is just calling them and checking on them. And that script is really simple because it's just, hey, how are you? How is your family? Anything we can do for you, right? It's just those 3 questions. And that's very open-ended, that third question. Anything we can do for you. And so, last week I was telling you the story about going to the store. I
got groceries
at 3 different stores.
Yeah.
Right? I was expecting, hey, bread, milk, produce. No, she sent me a laundry list.
Shrimp scampi.
Oh no, she wanted a very specific brand of ice cream. If you want 3 different flavors.
Yes, you better be prepared. If you
better be ready, right?
And I would like to go just one different direction for a second. There are people of you on this call that potentially need help. And there are potentially people on this call that have not had maybe the success that our teams have had and maybe don't have the bunker that we have. any of you could reach out to either one of us individually, and we would do whatever we could to help. I mean, whether that's advice, you know, I can't take any more kids on probably at this point, but anything outside of that, I would be pretty prepared to either be able to meet the need or match you with somebody that can meet the need.
I completely agree. And
we are a family.
But we also, just so everybody
to be here on the other side of this.
Thanks for saying that, Jen.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Jen. The other thing I want everybody to know, that's why we have KW Cares. And for those of you who have had have some closings coming up, or some of you that want to give, we have some money in our KW Cares account. We can always use more. So if you want to donate when you're closing, put it in the Springfield Cares line. If you have a question, just reach out to Landon or Rachel on your green sheet. They can do that. I'd love to see that Springfield Cares account grow so we can help more people, because I know the need will be there. But we've never, I mean, I know Jen, I know Adam, I know I've done it. We will do everything we can to personally help you, and no one needs to know. Write checks on our own, we'll do it. That's just our culture. It's who we are. And our culture is going to shine even more right now, even more. That's what I love about it.
So if we can go back really quick to talking about if I am a new agent or I came in maybe 3 years ago and rode the wave up and I don't have a database, I want to get really tactical on what that looks like really quick. And that is just creating your own system, and you're literally starting on a yellow notepad and writing down 25 names of people that are in your sphere. So these are people that you go to church with, they're your next door neighbor, right? It's your kid's soccer coach, right? It's the people that you're already influencing in a different way. And I'm sitting down and I'm deciding what 5 names I'm calling on Monday, what 5 names I'm calling on Tuesday, what 5 names I'm calling on Wednesday, and I'm starting with a base of 25. And I'm touching in with those people. So maybe I'm brand new, brand new, and I haven't done a deal yet. So I'm just announcing that I've moved, you know? So I'm calling, hey Jen, how are you? You know, we used to work together at MCI, right? We're just having a conversation, and I'm calling to check on you. How's your family, right? Did you know I moved and changed jobs, right?
I think it's at MCI forever.
That's exactly right, right? And we're just having a quick conversation, and we're starting small, right, in order to scale it.
Because you're not asking for anything.
I'm not asking for anything. Just calling to give them information, right? They may say, oh my gosh, how is real estate, right? Again, I'm prepared because Mike Brown put the information up this morning. And I can have that touch easily with them. Then Mark, that I spoke to them on April 7th, right? At 10:42 a.m. This is what we talked about, and I'm going to the next person, right? You're literally building your database right now so that you can be really pragmatic. And you know, tomorrow when you wake up, it's Wednesday morning, you already know what you're going to do. You already have your 5 names, right?
It's called stacking habits. So you're stacking habits, you're building on 5 per day, and eventually you'll work up till 10 per day, and then, you know, 15, or however you structure it. You're stacking the habit, and if you build that foundation now, you will never be in a position again, even in a shifting market, that you're worried about a next paycheck. If that's how you build your business, that's a very solid foundation. And
you can quickly figure out, once you get a pending, how many calls you made to get that pending. And so when you hear Jen all the time be saying, you know your numbers, right? That would know your number, right? That it took you 60 contacts to get to that one pending. And it took you 2 weeks of phone calls, and you got to a pending contract. So now you know you make 60 more, you're going to get another contract.
So I might do that 60 faster if I wanted a paycheck faster.
And so when we say doubling down, people say, what does it mean doubling down? So if I normally don't make calls, I'm going to start trying to make 5 contacts per day. If I'm already making calls and I'm making 5 or 10 a day, I'm going to try to get to 15 or 20 so that I can double down on my efforts, because it's a shifting market and we know it's going to take more contacts to get the same result. And so continuing to do the same thing and expect the same result in a shift is crazy.
It is.
But if you know that the shift is here, which ding, 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 the shift's here, right? So that's what we're talking about when we say doubling down.
We're also filling your time with something that's healthy, right? That's healthy. We're not doubling down on how many snacks we're going to eat. And if you do that, then you have to double down on your exercise. So when we talk about that, you know, Adam, it all circles back to having this great mindset and controlling the anxiety and controlling your environment and surrounding yourself with a team of supporters and making sure that the people that you're allowing in your head are pouring in a really positive way. Adam just told you how he built his business. So for every person that asks, well, gosh, how did you get to selling 500 homes a year and a team of however many people? And you have all this talent surrounding you. You have people that would love to get the chance to work on your team. That's how you started.
That's how I started.
That's how he started. So for those of you that you want the secret sauce or you want the easy button or whatever silver bullet, it was this. He built a foundation and he built it so strong that his primary business really for most of the time has been repeat referral business.
Past clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no fast track to success, right? Both of you, I mean, you're not overnight success. You were both in the business a long time.
This is the fast track to success.
Yeah.
Right? The fast track to success comes from making those contacts. This is the fastest way to get there. In 17 years, right? I'm still looking for the silver bullet, by the way.
Me too.
I still look all the time, right? You know, we still get
shiny
a call.
Objects.
We still get a call from a vendor. I'm like, oh, this sounds really good. And Linda's like, hang up the phone, right? You know, I'm still looking for it.
Yes.
It's not there. This is the fast track in that, you know, this is a contact sport.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more contacts that you can make, the faster those results are going to show up. So please don't get that message incorrect. This is the fast track.
Just, I think people think fast is a year or 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
I joined, oh gosh, I got into real estate in 2008. You've been in 17 years. Mm-hmm. And this is, we have done this and it's time on task, right? And that's the thing, what we're telling you is start now, start early. You've got the extra time. It will improve your mindset. It will improve your mood because you're helping people. You're having conversation with people that don't live in your house. And that brings a different energy in. It brings a different energy to your day. It gives you a purpose, which is really important. It gives you a start and an end. You know, Adam talked about last week. He gets dressed up every day. He takes a picture and sends it to his coach. I couldn't wait to get dressed up today and leave.
I'll tell you why I'm getting dressed up. Well, so why I'm sending a picture to my coach, actually, because I stopped getting dressed up. Because I know what my day looks like every day. And at no point did it require me getting dressed up, right? Because I was only going on appointments in the afternoon, which that's changed, right? I'm doing those on Zoom. We're doing those using technology. I'm not out in the field. And my coach said, how are you doing? And I'm like, you know, and my mind's not right today. And so we started talking about what my day looked like. And he's like, and I told him it was a 1:30 call. And I said, honestly, Josh, I haven't showered yet today. Right? I still did my lead gen, right? I still met my trainer. I still worked out, right? I still ate everything I was supposed to eat. And he's like, Adam. And I was like, you know, I'm wearing shorts and a quarter zip pullover, like something I would never wear in public. And he was like, so we're doing things differently tomorrow. And we're going to pretend like you're going out in the public. And so he was like, every single day you have to send me a picture of you dressed up. And so that's my accountability part, right? So now I'm stuck doing that. So even though I'm only going into my office in my home and shutting the door and getting on the phone, my energy level's better. My mindset's different because I feel like I'm at work because I've done everything just like I'm getting ready to see a customer.
It's your habit stacking. You're setting yourself up for a day of success and your day may look different now. And the time parameters are still probably pretty close to the same. You're still probably waking up at the same time. You're still eating the same foods. You're still working out. You still sit down at your desk at the same time and you get up from your desk at the same time. Some of us maybe that are at home, maybe don't have that luxury of the full day because you're homeschooling or, you know, you've got kids that are younger, you know, you've got babies at home. I think the point we would get across for those people, because you and I are pretty lucky in the ages of our kids and those types of things. For those of you that have really little ones, you can still time block all of that stuff, but yours may just look a little different. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some breathing room. Try a schedule and try it for a couple, you know, a few days to make sure that you get the chance to let it sink in. Don't try it just one day and think that it's not going to work. you can still wake up ahead of that baby. You can still, you know, take a shower and get ready. And either when the baby is taking a nap or you have help from a spouse or an older sibling, then get on and make those calls so you have some control over that schedule.
And just make sure you're getting the calls done.
Just make sure you're getting the calls done.
And tomorrow morning when you wake up, you already know what your day looks like because you time blocked it out. And time block doesn't mean just working, right? Guys, it's 80 today. It's 80. So I have time blocked part of my afternoon with my kids today because we were stuck inside all weekend because it was freezing cold. And I know on Saturday it's stormy and the high is 59. I already know this. I already checked. And so the activities that don't get done today, I'm going to get done on Saturday. So I've already time blocked that time out because I know I'm not going to get all my contacts in today that I would expect to get in. But I've already found more time in my schedule to replace it with so that I can take advantage of an awesome day today.
And you don't have to feel guilty about it. You get to enjoy it. You're present with your kids and you're taking advantage of the situation that you're in. How lucky are you that your kids are home on an 80-degree day so you get to spend with them?
Absolutely.
It's the way you look at things.
Right?
Change the way you look at things.
Look at change, right? I want to land this with a couple of things. First of all, I just got a text from an agent that I'm not going to name because they asked not to be named, but they said, hey, I'm going to give $1,000 to Springfield Cares. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And that's the heart of our agents that they have. So I'm super, super, super proud of that.
I think that's awesome. I think Jen and I are going to match that.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Red Day, a lot of questions about Red Day. It's going to look different. I don't have the details marked out yet, but they're coming. But we can make every day Red Day right now. There's a lot of ways we can help. And so I want you to think about ways you can help. And we're going to start sharing some different ideas that we have. So more to come on Red Day. So not canceled, just going to look different. The second thing I wanted to share with you is listing. We're going to have a listing contest, okay? And this was actually Adam and Jen's idea, and I thought was phenomenal. For the month of April, here's what it's going to look like. Listings taken, individual, team, group. And for those of you who don't know what those are, we can get clarification on the Facebook page later. Yes, Adam, go ahead.
Can I interrupt you, Travis, really fast?
Yeah.
First of all, Jen and I are going to contribute the prize from this. So since we're going to do that, we're actually going to sit out this contest.
Yep.
We aren't going to participate, but we are going to give the prize. Second, the reason Jen and I were talking about this is because during the shift, I was able to see that he who with the most listings, right, with the most signs in the yard, the most market share, didn't give that market share back.
Nope. Exactly.
Right? And continued. When we've been talking about kind of the theme for the last hour has been doing double the amount of work, right? You might have to have 2 signs out in order to get the same sale you would have gotten from 1 sign 6 months ago. So right now, I firmly believe that this market's going to come back like a rubber band. Whether that lasts or not, we don't know yet. But when it comes back, there's going to be a lot of pin-up demand from buyers, and they're all going to come rushing out at once and making sure that you have the inventory for them to come and buy. And so that's why we thought we should have a contest and see how many more red signs we can get out there to make sure that our agents get all the spoils when this does come back.
Yeah, Gary says market share gained in a shift is never given up. It's only magnified. So we want you to help you focus on that. So for the month of April, again, the Graddy and the whole Homes group are both not participating in this. Okay, so they're out of this contest. So here's where we're going to have team, individuals, and groups, listings taken for the month of April. The winner of every one of those divisions, we have my coach, Jen's coach, and Adam's coach have donated a free coaching session to the winner of that. There may be some more prizes. I'm not going to tell you what those are, but just focus on listings. And the way you get listings is having great conversations with setting great expectations, following exact scripts that Adam and Jen have shared out with you today, right? It's not about overcoming. It's about analyzing and figuring out exactly what the people are asking, what they're looking, being great listeners, being present. So I want to make sure you guys are focused on listings right now because that's what we need more than anything in this. There's still lots of buyers out there, right? I mean, there's a reason why we had more homes go under contracts and listings taken.
So we're going to do that listings taken and buyer agreement signed, right?
Right.
Those are to each other. So it's going to be listings taken and buyer agreement signed.
Outstanding. So 2 contests there. So we're going to have 2, and we'll get 2 coaching sessions donated. There could be multiple different winners. Is that what you're saying, Adam?
That's correct. So I'm saying the buyer agreements and the listing are equivalent, right? So if you're primarily a buyer agent or you're primarily a listing agent, you're still going to compete with each other because it's just about the signature on the contract.
Awesome. The last contest I want to, Adam and Jen have talked to you guys so much about how now is the time to build your database. On the call yesterday, Gary, what's he talk about? Build your database. Right now we have Command, and if you don't have to spend anything on a CRM or a platform, we have it. And so here's the contest. Here's our stimulus plan, so to speak, for you as agents, okay? The Market Center wants to help you. We want to help you build your business. Here it goes. You're going to take a screenshot of your database right now. It's just going to show your health score and how many you have how many contacts you have. We know how many contacts you have, but you can show us your health score. Your goal is we're going to pay you $1 per contact that you put on 3 smart plans. And those 3 smart plans, you can use either birthday or home anniversary, depending on your beliefs. You can use quarterly call and biweekly nurtures. How do you do that? Go watch the video under Rachel Lusk YouTube video that I posted. It's about 8 minutes. It walks you through exactly everything you need in a contact and how to put them on the smart plan. It's an 8-minute video. Watch it once. Folks, for every 50, we'll give you a month of agent billing for free with a maximum of 2 months. So some of you are going, man, I don't know where the next $250 payments are going to come for my agent billing. We'll take care of it for you. We're going to pay you to build your database now. So I'll put more details on the Facebook page here later, but this is awesome, gang, because there's never been a better time than right now when you're home to build your database. Guess what we know? MREA, page 145 says there's a 12 to 2 conversion. That's 16%. You get 100 people in there, there's 16 closings in the next 12 months. You want 32 closings? Let's get 200. That's all it takes. So we're literally planting seeds now to harvest later. So those are the 2 contests. We're super excited. Adam and Jen, what would you like to leave us with? If you had one thing to tell everybody, what's the one thing you would make sure we're focused on right now?
I think the simplest thing I can do is to tell you to have a schedule, right? If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? And I know you're at home. I know things are chaotic. I know your spouse is driving you crazy because they're working from home too, right? Maybe they're working inside your space. Their job's more important than yours. I've heard that from 2 different people. Your kids are at your ankles, right? You're homeschooling. You still need to establish a schedule and time block out those activities so that you have normalcy in your routine. That's the one thing I would be doing that if I weren't doing that now, that would make sure that I'm doing it.
I think if I were to give something separate, because I think that's it, and I would say within that is you're making those calls on that schedule, I would say just be kind. Everybody's going through stuff, and we're all in different versions of this. Some of us are handling it better than others, and be kind. You don't know where the other person is coming from. You don't know their backstory. And so if we're all at Keller Williams, we should ask to understand, right? Seek to understand. So if someone's having a bad day or maybe snaps at you, instead of just snapping back and maybe escalating the situation, have the conversation and be kind above all else.
I love that was yours. Assume positive intent. Right?
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, I would just tell you all to be a leader right now. You're a leader in this industry, and be a leader. Leaders are dealers in hope. This is Holy Week, and I'm a believer, whether you are or not, is not what I'm speaking of. But as believers, we remember Friday. Good Friday wasn't good. It was dark. It was gloomy, and the believers did not have a lot of hope. But Sunday's coming, and Sunday's coming in our industry. And so right now, I know a lot of you are scared. Have hope. Have focus. Know that there's a light. Sunday's coming. We love all of you. We're in this together. Now's the time to grow your mind share and serve others and give back. We're here with you. I want to thank Adam and Jen 2 weeks in a row for giving us amazing content. I got a page and a plus of notes again. We're just blessed to have you.
We're 6 feet apart.
Yes, and you guys are 6 feet apart, and I'm downstairs, so I would be not around you as well. So thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Travis.
Take care.
Thanks,